Welcome to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Making headlines this Tuesday, May 14th. A Japanese mayor opens old wounds with China and Korea. Will the European Union look into these Chinese telecom companies? And calls mount for Taiwan's government to protect free press. Relations between China and Japan have been tense in recent months and throughout history. Yesterday, a Japanese mayor opened old wounds with his comments about sex slaves in World War II. He said that the comfort women of Japanese soldiers were a necessary part of the wartime experience.
The mayor of Japan's Osaka city opened old wounds yesterday with China and the Koreas. Chinese and Korean women were used as comfort women or sex slaves by Japanese soldiers during World War II.
When they're out running around and risking their lives, with their emotional state all strung out, they are looking to give them, I wouldn't say relaxation, but something like that. Then anyone can understand it's necessary to have something like the Comfort Women's system.
He reiterated on his Twitter account that, quote, "There's no proof that the country abducted South Korean women and then forced them into prostitution." China's foreign ministry countered the Hashimoto claim, saying it was an insult to the victims of the sex slave trade. Chinese netizens have also expressed their outrage online with a flurry of expletives aimed at Japan. China and the Koreas have long accused Japan of denying history and playing down their wartime atrocities. Japan's government has now tried to distance itself from the mayor's remarks.
For those who have experienced this, it's very difficult and they suffered great heartache. With regards to this issue, the Abe government is of the thinking of previous cabinets. However, we don't believe this should be turned into a political or diplomatic problem.
China and the Koreas allege that almost 200,000 women were taken as sex slaves by Japanese soldiers during World War II.
Chinese telecommunication firms may be causing a rift in the European Union. According to an EU official, the European Union's trade chief is looking for support to investigate unfair trade practices by Chinese telecom giants Huawei Technologies and ZTE Corporation. And that has angered several European companies. Those companies are afraid that a probe like that could create a backlash, and this would damage their interests in China. Many European firms want to expand into the Chinese market and are concerned that if such a thing goes through, they'll find Chinese contracts drying up. The probe, if it happened, will set a precedent. Normally, a company makes a complaint and the Trade Commission investigates it. It is rare but legally feasible for the Commission to do an investigation, even with opposition from EU companies. The trade chief is reportedly looking for support from the Commission, a part of the EU executive branch. According to the same EU official, the EU trade chief is not sure he will push for a probe, but will submit his request on Wednesday. China's ruling Communist Party keeps a tight lid on the press and actively blocks out media from overseas. Across the Taiwan Strait, though, free press is protected under Taiwan's democratic government. And now there are calls on Taiwan to make sure to continue to protect those freedoms, even as it pursues closer ties with the mainland.
Don't let ties with mainland China affect press freedom in Taiwan. That's what Taiwan's lawmakers and activists are telling the Taiwanese government as NTD's sister station there tries to renew a 2-year satellite contract.
In order to preserve the autonomy of Taiwan's media industry and its freedom and openness, Taiwan's government has the responsibility to give due attention to this issue.
NTD-Asia Pacific broadcast into Taiwan and parts of mainland China through the ST-2 satellite. It's operated by Chunghwa Telecom, a company that is partly owned by the Taiwanese government. The current contract will soon expire, but Chunghwa has avoided meeting with NTD-ap to discuss the contract renewal. The issue has grabbed international attention. On May 8th, the vice chairman of the European Parliament, Edward Macmillan-Scott, wrote a personal letter to Taiwanese President Ma Ying-jeou to personally intervene. Free press advocates fear that Chunghwa's behavior may be because of pressure from mainland China. NTD is known for broadcasting news and information the Chinese regime tries to censor. Ma's administration has been pursuing closer ties with the mainland and has been criticized for risking Taiwan's democratic values in the process.
hope that the National Broadcasting Regulator, NCC, can look into this to protect contractual certainty and keep it free of political or other interference from the mainland, so Taiwan's democracy and free speech can continue to advance.
This isn't the first time that NTD-AP has faced difficulties renewing its contract with Chunghwa. 2 years ago, Chunghwa had initially refused to sign the current satellite contract, citing technical reasons with the ST-2 satellite. But after mounting international pressure, Chunghwa did an about-face and signed the 2-year satellite contract with NTD-AP.
And coming up after the break, lawyers beaten and detained in Sichuan province. Security agents tracked down the blogger who started this petition to the US government, and a Chinese prisoner of conscience awarded by the Slovakian university. And welcome back. The 24th anniversary of the June 4th Tiananmen Square massacre is drawing near. One rights group in Hong Kong is bringing the bloody memories of that day back to the forefront, with a collection of memorabilia showing what many faced on the square when tanks and police moved in.
The Tiananmen democracy protests in 1989 ended in a bloody military crackdown on June 4th. Officially, though, the Chinese regime maintains its military did not kill any of the student protesters. But this temporary museum in Hong Kong is telling a different story. These items belong to Wang Nan. The student protester was killed during the Tiananmen Square massacre. He was wearing this helmet when he was shot. You can still see the 2 bullet holes. For Wang's mother, presenting these items was difficult, but also necessary.
Those materials belonged to my son, Wang Nan. They are exactly the physical evidence. The facts speak for themselves, and those are the evidence and the proof of his killing. There's got to be more than just these from my son. Some people don't know how to present them to the outside world. I believe more of them will eventually come out.
Also displayed here are Wang Nan's hunger strike declaration, his glasses, headband, and banner. Then there are his 2 death certificates. They show different causes of death. The hospital says he died from gunshot wounds, but the police said Wang died outside the hospital and not from any wounds.
The death certificates clearly say different things. It shows how the Chinese Communist Party has tried to cover its crimes. To us, these are shocking evidence.
Feng Jun was one of the survivors of the Tiananmen Square crackdown. Since then, he's been campaigning, demanding that the Chinese regime come clean about what happened. Relics like these go a long way, but Feng fears others may not get to see the light of day.
They have finally showed up. It's a mixed feeling. The June 4th suppression was more than a massacre. It was also a process to murder and destroy criminal evidence. That's why not much evidence has remained. Facing the pressure from the regime, people would not dare to show them, even if they kept them.
The temporary museum is established by the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China. Lawmaker Lee Chuk-yun heads the alliance and says they plan to build a permanent museum once they raise the $650,000 needed. NTD News, Hong Kong.
Several prominent Chinese rights lawyers were beaten and detained as they tried to visit a black jail on Monday. Li Heping, a rights lawyer from Beijing, told Radio Free Asia he was on the phone with one of the lawyers, Tang Tianhao, while security guards from the unofficial detention center attacked them. Li said the group also included rights lawyers Tang Jitian and Jiang Tianyong. Li said the lawyers were trying to visit the Zhiyang Municipal Legal Education Center in Zhiyang City in southwestern China's Sichuan province. The center was reportedly set up to detain followers of the spiritual group Falun Gong, which has been persecuted in China since 1999. Li said the center was holding several hundred people there illegally. Li Fangping, another rights lawyer from Beijing, said lawyers in China have been attacked and beaten by authorities more frequently in recent times. In the past 2 years, Chinese lawyers have been banned from representing certain clients and risk persecution for subversion for defending sensitive cases. When Chinese authorities invite someone to tea, it means they're going to interrogate you. Now, a blogger from Sichuan province received this invitation after launching this petition to the White House, and she says she fears for her safety. Created on May 7th, the petition calls for a reassessment of a controversial petrochemical plant in Ying-jeou. It's already racked up over 2,000 signatures, despite broken English and grammatical errors. The young blogger has asked not to be identified. According to Hong Kong-based South China Morning Post, a security agent tracked her down via her personal details registered with Sina Weibo, China's version of Twitter. The agent demanded that she delete the petition, but the petition cannot be deleted once it has started, and the woman told the Post that she is scared. Just days earlier, thousands of police quashed a protest against the plant. Locals in Ying-jeou don't want the petrochemical plant because of pollution fears. The Post reports that security agents are also retaliating against others opposed to the plant. A Chinese woman has been recognized in Slovakia for standing up for human rights, but she was not able to receive that award in person because Chinese authorities have locked her up for holding on to her faith. Our correspondent in Slovakia brings us this next story.
A Chinese prisoner of conscience, ying-jeou, was awarded the Gold Medal of St. Elizabeth for defending human and religious rights by the St. Elizabeth University of Health and Social Sciences in Slovakia on May 10th. Ms. Jeou was not able to receive the award in person because since November 2012 she is being detained in the Tiananmen forced labour camp in Beijing. 63-year-old Ms. Jeou was repeatedly arrested and tortured in China because she continued to uphold her belief in Falun Gong, a spiritual discipline that involves meditation and stresses improvement of one's character. Chinese Communist authorities started to crack down on Falun Gong in 1999, fearing its immense popularity as a threat to the regime's iron grip on power. Ying-jeou's daughter, who lives in Australia, received the award for her mother.
It really means a lot. It means on the other side of the world, there are people who are supporting the Falun Gong practitioners who respect basic human rights.
St. Elizabeth University sent Ms. Jeou's award ceremony invitation to the detention centre where she's being held.
She didn't personally receive the letter, but my family told her. When my family visited my mom, they told her.
Lisa has been doing all she can to save her mother, and that mission has brought her to Slovakia. She met several politicians in Slovakia and told them about her mother's plight and the Chinese labour camp. I have been informed, and now I have learned more about one mother who is not so young anymore, who is defending human rights and is imprisoned and tortured for nothing. She does not know when she will get out, so it's the responsibility of us living in freedom and who have experienced 40 years of communism and know what it's like to go through such human rights abuses. It is our duty to fight for her. An open letter has also been circulating across Slovakia, calling for support and demanding the Beijing labour camp release Ying-jeou. This campaign will soon end, but Lisa's mission continues. She's determined to reach out far and wide across the world, telling her mother's story again and again until her mother is released. NTD News, Slovakia, Bratislava.
And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more of our China content, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTDonChina. Coming up next is China Focus with Shirley Zhang. Stay tuned. And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more of our China content, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTDonChina. Coming up next is China Focus with Shirley Zhang. Stay tuned.